Welcome back. Now, some of African Rainbow Capital's investee companies have managed to break even, in particular Tymebank and Linebooker. The strong showing from those units have boosted ARC's four-year performance, with its intrinsic net asset value rising 8.5%. And joining me to help us put those numbers into perspective is company's co-CEO, Johan van der Merwe. Thank you so much for your time, Johan. Quite a lot of highlights, but maybe a few lowlights there as well. Let's start off with talking about the operating environment. What headwinds are still impacting your investee companies, and what looks set to boost the tide?
Yeah. Good evening, Zinati. Very nice speaking to you again. Zinati, we experienced a contracting economy, with obviously adverse impact on consumer spending over the last year. But that was until I think we've had the run-up to the SA national elections. And after that, it is as if, we had a 180 degrees turnaround in business sentiment. But unfortunately, our year ended at 30 June. So we have to talk about that year.
Yes.
Obviously, we're seeing, very much green sprouts going forward. But it was a tough environment over the last year, with high interest rates and a volatile exchange rate and a very volatile stock market as well. But, at the moment, we're much more positive about the year lying ahead.
Well, definitely not tough for Timebank, because that's one of the highlights. It broke even during the period under review. What's at the heart of this milestone? And just enlighten us on the sustainability of that milestone.
Yeah. So Timebank is obviously a digital bank. It was started from scratch in South Africa by ourselves. And in hindsight, it's not a small feat to start a bank.
Yeah.
And it's been difficult. But with 9.5 million customers now, and especially with some of the milestones that they achieved in terms of customer acquisition, in terms of deposits in the bank, number of transactions that people do, there are definitely, international investors that are very, very interested in us. And we've got really high-class investors in terms of APIS, which is probably one of the, quality fintech investors in the world invested. Even Tencent invested in us. And there are two other parties that if they're going to invest in our Series D capital raising, people, will sit up straight and say, well, okay, now that makes a big difference. Now we value Timebank based on the last transaction and the last money that we raised for it. Now, in South Africa, we don't need any more money because we break even here. And, that is obviously, very heartening to see. But we are expanding in the Philippines, we're expanding to Vietnam, and then we'll go into Indonesia as well. And for that, we need money, to roll out the bank on that side. But, it's quite heartening to see that we've got the blueprint in South Africa now. And everything for instance, in the Philippines are happening in half the time than what it happened in South Africa. And it's a lot to do with the fact that we've made some mistakes here and we've learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
And we know where to actually focus our attention, where to roll out quicker, etc. So things are actually going very well in Southeast Asia at this point in time.
Well, talking about sitting up straight, Rain also met its targets. What were the tools there that fed its muscle to get there?
In terms of Timebank, you're talking about?
Rain.
Oh, Rain, yes. Now, Rain is also doing very well. So, data is almost insatiable, and people want more and more data. We own quite a bit of spectrum, and the rollout is going very well. At one stage, it was going very, very quick, and then with the more spectrum in other areas that was sold off and auctioned off by the government, we participated in those, really to help us. And it doesn't help you own the spectrum, you have to make it work.
Of course.
And then we had to spend a bit more money to actually get it up. So I think our J-curve was perhaps a little bit deeper and a little bit longer than what you anticipated, but the upside is just so much more now. And we've through that J-curve now, and we've turned profitable. And in the last year, we've made about 2.5 billion of EBITDA, which is quite substantial for a new company. Now, what is quite heartening is to see these companies, whether it's a Rain, whether it's a Timebank or a Linebooker, that was really seen as early stage companies, that they're coming to fruition, hopefully start paying dividends at some stage going into the future. Because at some stage, I think the market looked at us and said, you've got so many early stage investments, are you going to make it or not in those investments? So it's quite nice to see that they're coming through.
All right. But on the back foot there, we had crops in the annual period. What are the major pain points there?
Yeah, so that's been a bit of a problem, Charles. We're not really miners, but we got into that. At least Mr. Botsepe and his team can help us as well, because he's our chair and big owner, and he understands mining much better. So he's really helped us to get the right people in place, to make sure that we tackle the bull by the horns. But we slowly made progress there. Even though we had to invest another 600 million over the last year into crops, about half that money was actually to pay off external debt. That was there from right in the beginning, before we even got involved, from BNP Paribas. The rest was really to make the process a bit more efficient, to make sure there was a little bit of capex, and only a little bit of it was to fund some of the losses as well over the last year. But we're producing now on a reasonably consistent basis about 30,000 tons of phosphate per month. We're selling it, and we're also talking to partners that understand mining quite well, that after they've seen now the plant and the technical side of it, they're very happy to become our partner. So we hope we can forge a deal on that side in the next few months. And then I think we're going to look back at this and say, it was tough, but we threw it all, and it's going to do actually very well. It's very important for food security. The whole world is looking for fertilizer, and that's what you use phosphate for.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have to end the conversation there, Johan. Thank you so much for giving us insights into that annual reporting period there. That was the co-CEO of ARC, Johan van der Merwe.